Welcome, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Rufus Johnson, and I am one of 19 Black freeholders hosting this event tonight from Essex County. We look forward to the conversation tonight. There will be three parts. First, the Black agenda. Second, the Black vote. And third, we will be joined with a special message from Reverend Al Sharpton. As the longest serving Black freeholder in the state, this program is important, and I am excited to be joined by my colleagues from around the state of New Jersey. As we begin the program, I would like to now introduce you to the 19 Black freeholders.
Please bear with us as we are encountering some technical difficulties.
We are New Jersey 19. And now, let me introduce my colleague, Angela Garrison.
Unmute, Angela.
So good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here today. I hope you enjoyed our slide presentation introducing you to the 19 Black freeholders in the state of New Jersey. I want to also just acknowledge that we are very excited to be joined this evening by Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network for generously joining us to share his newest book, Rise Up, Confronting a Country at the Crossroads. Reverend Sharpton's insightful written book has inspired many, including many of the members of New Jersey 19. And the recurring theme of his book is activism. And tonight, we want to share a little bit of our story about how we came together as a caucus. We also want to share that we were a silent majority when we started. We were 19 of 131 freeholders in the state of New Jersey. But from that 19, we not only were able to change a law, but we also got the folks who support us and the folks who don't support us to have to follow our lead. So with that, Sam, if you can put on our presentation of how we were founded. So the founders of the New Jersey 19, NJ19, will be forever the last 19 Black elected freeholders in the state of New Jersey and the United States of America. We established a Black caucus because every day people, elected or not, witness or live through systemic discrimination that infects our country through government systems. And New Jersey 19 officials have a unique set of political experiences, and we are organized and aligned to be supported by powerful allies in the state to be the last Black county elected officials called freeholders in the state of New Jersey. We worked actively and deliberately to rise up and represent in the name of our ancestors. On January of 2018, the story began that the freeholder name was supposed to be changed. But it took 2 years later, on July 9th, 2020, that I happened to be at a press conference at the food bank in Hillside, New Jersey, with Governor Phil Murphy, Senate President Sweeney, Senator Cryan, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, and I approached them to remind them of the importance and significance of changing our title. This long-term issue for many, many years was recently brought back into the forefront because of so many dedicated freeholders. That same day in the afternoon, we actually not only had a magic moment dubbed by the governor, but we began to organize NJ19 in the New Jersey County Black Caucus. The Black county elected voices in the state of New Jersey were organized and mobilized and committed because of what we saw with the George Floyd killings and the calls for justice. We recognized that George Floyd's murder entered the history books along with Rosa Parks and Emmett Till as the face of a moment that fueled the movement. We watched the video that shocked the nation, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It echoed throughout our communities, and in his words, he could not breathe. We recognized Floyd's murder in Minneapolis added to the long tally of Black Americans who had died at the hands of police officers and/or faced mistreatment. We also faced COVID-19 and the pandemic that was driving through all of our counties, and it ignited a wave of inequalities that were faced by the very people that we represent. As members of the diverse communities, we were ready to give voice to Black issues at the crossroads in our state and nation, because our urban, rural, and suburban areas were disconnected more now than ever. We had, out of 21 counties, we had 2 Black African American women who were at the helm of their county freeholder boards. And we had 3 African American men who were the deputy or vice president or chairman, vice chairman of our boards. And they gave voice with so many strong advocates that we wanted to change the title. At that moment, we had almost 30 articles from the New York Times to our local papers to all of our counties representing how our voices wanted to be heard on this issue. So from that moment in July, and 2 months later, we were able to join Governor Murphy at the bill signing. And that bill signing brought every single freeholder together. And the 19 Black freeholders not only stood on stage together, but we also witnessed the signing of the bill. So from July to August, we decided to rise up. And every county in the state of New Jersey will retire the freeholder title and become county commissioners. This is a major accomplishment for county government in 2021. And so we like to say, as NJ19, that we may be the last to be called county freeholders in this nation, but we are the first to create the New Jersey County Black Caucus. So we want you to remember that we worked collaboratively, the 19 Black freeholders out of 131 freeholders in New Jersey. We have 5 Black officials in leadership out of our 21 freeholder boards. We have 4 Black delegates on the statewide organization, New Jersey County Association. And we want you to remember that in 2020, we formed our NJ19 Alliance to develop the New Jersey County Black Caucus. And that's what we're standing on today. So at this time, we're going to actually move to our next segment, which will engage several of my colleagues from across the state, because we want to talk about what we started doing every single week. So we started having weekly meetings because we recognize the importance of what was happening not only nationally, but in the state of New Jersey. So we not only wanted to say, we want to do what's right over what is always popular. So the battle cry in our state this summer did not only symbolize inclusion and diversity, but it struck a chord that we wanted to talk about a Black agenda, and we wanted to talk about the Black vote. So at this time, I'm pleased to introduce my county colleagues from up and down the state, but we're going to begin with my colleague out of Passaic County, TJ Best.
Thank you, County Commissioner Garrison, for that introduction, and welcome everybody as we begin the conversation around our collective Black agenda leading into the importance of the Black vote, a conversation with none other than the Reverend Al Sharpton. I am joined for this portion of the conversation by 3 outstanding county commissioners throughout the state of New Jersey. My good friend from Camden County, Freeholder Barbara Holcomb. Also joining us in this conversation, we have freeholder from Atlantic County, Ashley Bennett, also a RU grad. And from Hudson County, we have with us freeholder Jerry Walker, who's also going to join this portion of the conversation. Even though it's the 3 of us leading this conversation, it is open to all of our colleagues throughout the state of New Jersey if you want to interject at any point, as this is a collective conversation around the Black agenda and why it's important. As we know, the challenges facing the Black community are complex, and the solutions to those challenges require innovation, experimentation, and Black political power. As Freeholder Garrison mentioned, there are only 19 out of 131 freeholders in the state of New Jersey who happen to be African American at this given time. Because of that, many times when we bring the conversations to the table, we are the only voice at the table advocating for the needs of our community. And therefore, when we bring those needs to the table, it's extremely important for members of the community, right, who share the same vision that we do, who share the same agenda that we do, to also have their voices be heard, not just by participating in their electoral responsibility of voting, but also being part of the conversation, creating on how government can do more for all people, but more particularly how government can do more for our people. and we need your voice and participation in that. So for this part of the conversation, I wanted to refer back to something that was put together by the Black Futures Lab, which launched the Black Census Project back in 2018, where they surveyed over 30,000 Black people in all 50 states who participated in the conversation, and therefore put together 6 topics in which all levels of government should be addressing in terms of the Black agenda. I want to start off by focusing on the first of those issues, which is the economy. By removing policies that lock us out of good jobs and investing in health and wealth of our communities. So in reference to the economy, I'm just going to ask my colleagues, if they don't mind chiming in, what are some of the things that you feel that we can do on the county level to help support the Black agenda and African Americans in our communities around the economy?
So I'll jump in. I think some of the things that we can do to make a difference in the economy is to raise job standards, to raise the living wage so that you can live off of it, to focus in on affordable housing. I mean, if you can't get a wage to feed and house your family, then there's everything else just falls by the wayside. So I think that those just are 2 systemic things that everybody needs to be able to move any agenda. If they don't have their family life together, if they can't sustain their family, what can they do? They certainly can't, participate in the cause. So I think that those are 2 really important pieces that need to be focused on when you're talking about the economy.
Definitely. Ashley, you want to chime in here?
Sure. One of the things I was thinking about is prioritizing minority business and prioritizing minority business contracts on the county level and on the municipal level. And in addition to that, focusing on improving transportation. Just like my colleague said, if you don't have affordable housing, if you don't have a way to work, that is another thing that is a barrier for the Black community and the overall Black agenda. Another thing that I thought about was, in addition to that, is focusing on improving living standards in our communities, making our communities safer, mentorship amongst businesses, improving entrepreneurship and development opportunities within our community.
TJ, I wonder if it's appropriate for us to maybe see if our audience might have some input on this particular topic. If so, I would encourage them to either raise their hand or put a question in the chat box.
Definitely. And at any point in the conversation, we're all receiving it. If my colleagues want to jump in here, or if anybody from the community wants to be part of this conversation, please write a comment in the chat box and we'll try to address it. With that being said, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about something that's extremely relevant to all of us right now, especially as there's an election currently underway. We have changed from election day now to election month, and we are smack dead in the middle, actually towards the end of the election. And as we're seeing throughout the country, there are individuals who are in governmental bodies who are trying to take away our vote. Voter suppression is actively occurring throughout our country. They're limiting opportunities for African American communities to vote. So just talking about empowering our community to be more of an active part in this process, just want to talk a little bit about what are some of our counties doing here in the state of New Jersey to promote voting. If anybody wants to jump in there. Barbara, I'm going to toss it to you.
I was looking at my colleague Jonathan Young, thinking that he was going to jump in, but I can start, John. I'll start, and you can chime in. In Camden County, I'm really pleased and proud to say that we have been focusing on vote by mail for a number of years now. So we've got a pretty good system down pat, and I'm so pleased that we had the foresight and the thought to do that early on, I think that it's our folks have been educated in and they kind of know the process. They know how to fill out the ballot. They expect it to come in the mail. They fill it out. They know where to send it in so that their vote can be counted. So we're kind of on the forefront from that, and I think that puts us a little bit ahead of the curve. John, you want to jump in?
Sure. I mean, one thing we did in Camden County is and Barbara's exactly right. We've been doing it for some time, and we're really starting to master the skill, if you will, right? So when you start looking at it and things that we start doing proactive, we just brought a machine that can tally votes or can count votes, 3,000 votes an hour, right? You can't get a human to do that, right? So when you start talking about what's going to happen at the end of the day on November 3rd, Camden County is going to be in the forefront to be able to have their votes counted and ready to go and numbers to be ready to turn in, right? And that's just a long-term investment that you put into it. Vote by mail is something that is very, very, it's effective, right? And it works and it's safe. And, you know, everybody talks about, hey, you know, what's going to happen to our vote? The penalty of being caught cheating and voting outweighs you're talking about a $10,000 fine and a felony charge. So if one vote, if you're going to take one envelope and throw that one envelope away for that, God bless you. I mean, then, you know, it's bigger problems than that. But, you know, I'm just here to say that voting by mail is probably one of the safest ways that you can vote. Your vote is secure.
Definitely, and I don't want to take too much shine away from our other colleagues who will be addressing this in just a short period of time. But speaking more specifically to empowering our community and educating them on not just the voting process, but what they're actually voting for, also means a lot in engaging and being a part of the conversation throughout the entire electoral process. And each and every time. Is one thing to elect somebody into office, is another thing to hold them accountable. And as a community, we really have a responsibility for holding all elected officials accountable, not just the elected officials that look like us. So I'm going to tell you right now, we're countywide here in Passaic County. I represent all 16 municipalities equally. I live in Patterson. I have, it's a lot of African American